Today on Locked On Red Wings, Todd McLellan listens to the Detroit Red Wings fan base, shuffles up the top line, and Erik Gustafsson is called up from Grand Rapids.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Should I just dive right into it, just avoid the opening altogether, because I seem to be just incapable of doing it on today's episode. For those of you who are, well, all of you are unaware except for Scotty and I, this is my sixth attempt to start the show, because at different points in each intro, either whether it be the cold open or the introduction, I have somehow fumbled something that I do 60 times a year. Well, way more than that.
I was going to say, wow, you took a lot of days off. Whereas my vacation time in that? Golly.
So it's been a struggle to get this episode off the ground. It definitely feels like a Friday. But this is the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. And if you want to listen to this podcast ad-free, go ahead and sign up for the Everydayer Club by going to lockedonpodcast.com/Everydayer Club to pick up the Red Wings and sign up there. It is a $10 a month subscription. I'm sorry, a $5 a month subscription. It's even better than I thought. And Scotty, on top of that, you get access to a team-exclusive Discord channel where you can talk to Scotty and I. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/Everydayer Club to sign up. On today's episode, Scotty, we got to talk about the fact that the Red Wings play the Sharks and the Ottawa Senators this weekend. Sharks first on Friday, Ottawa Senators on Sunday. And the bulk of our conversation is going to be about the things that came out of practice from the day prior, being on Thursday. We saw our wishes kind of being answered. I was being a little facetious in the cold open where I said Todd McLellan answered the fan base's wishes. Todd McLellan does not care what we think as fans, and I mean that in a good way. He should not care about what we want for roster decisions, but it just so happened to align that what a lot of the fans and podcasts, because we weren't the only podcast saying it, aligned with what he saw and what proved to be a forward line shakeup at practice on Thursday. Erik Gustafsson was also recalled from Grand Rapids. We'll talk about the reason why as well, and then we'll dive fully into the Sharks and the Senators as Detroit plays them this weekend. But before we can get to any of that, Scotty, got to let the people know today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Okay. We're through the intro. I think we can officially say this is the real episode now. No more restarts.
I mean, I'm down.
Okay.
Who are you trying to convince, though?
Myself, primarily. All right, Scotty, the thing we want to talk about first in this episode is about the top lines being shuffled. We had talked a lot about the fact that in a lot of games recently, Dylan Larkin has just, frankly, been unproductive at 5-on-5. I saw Prashanth Iyer had posted out on Blue Sky that Marco Kasper has more even strength points than Dylan Larkin does in a recent stretch. I think it's last 10 games at 5-on-5. I'd have to double check that exact post by him. But something had to change, and they already changed it once, putting up Finnie and Kasper with him. That did not work. Even more ineffective, honestly, while Raymond was able to find some scoring down there in the third line. And now after a 3-0 loss, breaking their 4-game winning streak, it felt like the perfect opportunity for the Detroit Red Wings to change it up again and try and reunite Larkin with Raymond, but the questions still remain, who do you put on the left wing? Well, everyone in the fan base looked at James van Riemsdyk and the incredible stretch he is on right now and said, hey, we knew it was going to be a rotation.
That guy.
Why not try him now? And so it was in practice. Scotty, what are your thoughts on JVR on the top line?
I love it if he can do it. And that sounds, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I mean he's pushing 40. If he is capable of playing that frequently and having that many shifts and playing 20 plus, or whatever, maybe they even shave a few off and it's 18 plus a night or whatever, that, if he can do it, I am all in favor. I think the question I mean, you look at his production this year, no one's worried that he's not going to be a valuable asset to the top line. I think it's more just, is he capable of playing 20-ish minutes on any given night, or at least for a consistent basis rather going forward. So I'm all for it. If he's down, I'm down. That's pretty much where I stand.
And for the record, just to correct it, the sample size for the Larkin-Kasper comparison was 20 games, not 10 games. Kasper has 2 5-on-5 points in the last 20. Larkin has 1. So this changeup is much needed. You know, we've talked a lot about James van Riemsdyk in, well, just every game recap, because lately he's been on en fuego, as they say.
Batman.
Yeah, Batman. I like a lot of the things that he brings to that line. The biggest question mark for me is the foot speed. At, 35, 36 years old. Obviously, he's not nearly as fast as he used to be. He's a pretty heavy skater. But the other stuff in his game, I think, can still be a contributing factor on the ice. While he might not be able to keep up with the pace of play that Larkin can bring, he gets into the corners, he wins those puck battles, he throws his body around, he gets to the net front, he has really nice hands in the net front. And that's something that I think Larkin and Raymond need, because Larkin in particular, you know, he's going to throw the puck at the net. Raymond, I'd like to see you throw the puck at the net a little bit more. And James van Riemsdyk can either catch the shot pass or get the rebound and bury it. I think that, like Finnie, he brings a lot of that little bit heavier element to that line. It's just, again, it's the question of foot speed, but with how ineffective the top line's been, and Emmett Finnie struggled at 5-on-5 to produce points as well.
Right.
You know, it's just, why not, right?
What, is he going to be worse than what we just saw the
Right.
last 2 games? Like, no.
Right. It's definitely worth trying, because Raymond was good with JVR on the Comfer line, and so it just makes sense to swap those winger pairs. Finnie and Kasper have still remained struggling. You might as well put them on the third line with Comfer, lighter competition, that's where Kasper came from, but you see if maybe they can figure it out down there on the third line and they get softer competition and less minutes with that line than they would with Larkin. Although we saw Larkin get the fewest amount of 5-on-5 minutes amongst the forward group this last game because of how ineffective they were. Now you have Raymond back together with Larkin. You hope maybe Raymond found a little bit of a 5-on-5 scoring touch, although we got some lucky breaks, that he and Larkin can find their synergy again, and JVR can add that veteran experience with that soft hands and high hockey IQ and the unafraid quality he has to go to the net and get in the corners and, you know, produce some offense at 5-on-5, because that top line, you're lucky that the Red Wings have gotten really hot in different areas each stretch of the season, because it's a different reason they're winning games almost every single time. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, no team is ever going to be 100% clicking 100% of the time. There's always going to be players who are going hot and cold, and good teams find ways to win in different ways throughout the season. And the Red Wings have been able to do that and sustain being pretty hot regardless, whether it's at the start of the season, Emmett Finnie, Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond being red hot to start, and then Alex DeBrincat heating up, John Gibson heating up. Like, they've been carried through different elements throughout different stretches. Now James van Riemsdyk. Now you just hope that you can get your best players going, because the more sustainable ways are having your best players be your best players, and they desperately need that to get going.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I don't have a huge concern on the offensive side of the puck. It's just like you obviously want Raymond and Larkin to be out there in all situations. And I think the question is more like, can JVR accommodate a top line that wants to be deployed in any and all situations? Because of, again, the just the speed and everything. But as I said at the beginning, it's not going to be a downgrade. It's not going to look worse than it has. So, like, again, as I started the show with, if he's down and he thinks he can do it, I'm down.
So here's some James van Riemsdyk splits for you, Scotty, just so you know, you and all the listeners out there can have a bit of a food for thought on how his season has progressed. In the month of October, he played 9 games, had 2 points, 1 goal, 1 assist. In November, he played 11 games, had 2 points, 2 goals. Pretty slow start for JVR. Obviously, he missed a chunk of training camp and even, I think, part of the start of the season. My memory gets blurry more than a month out.
Well, no, he had because him and his wife had kids, and so he missed most of training camp, and then the first little bit, and then
it was the first little bit of the season. Yeah,
was
that's
also
the part
slow getting, just was barely playing on a consistent basis to get him back, up to speed and everything.
Correct. And so 4 points through the first 2 months of the season. It's 20 games. Since then, he's played 19 games, and in December he had 12 games, 6 goals, 1 assist for 7 points. January, so that's only 7 games so far in January. He has three goals, 5 assists for 8 points. Yep. So he's already had his most productive month in January, and we're only 7 games into it. I mean, halfway through the month. But he's been already more productive than the months previous because he continues to heat up. And when you do the splits a little bit differently and you look at the first half of the games that he played versus the second half, so he's played 39 games for the Detroit Red Wings. So if you do the last 8, from game 18 to game 39, which is 22 games there, so you split it really more closer to like 2/3 and 1/3. The last 2/3, it's been 17 points in 22 games played, 11 goals, 6 assists. And then the game 1 through game 17, the first 17 games played, is 2 points. So he had 2 points in the first 17 games played and has had, 17 points since then? Yeah, it's time to try him up there on the top line. Again, and with the deployment, with the quality of the competition, he might not thrive as much. But what do you have to lose? It's worth a shot.
Worth a shot.
Scotty, Erik Gustafsson was called up by the Detroit Red Wings on Thursday. We're going to talk to you about why in segment 2. Stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings. You and the listeners.
Oh.
You already know, but, you're an active participant. All right, segment 2 coming up. There is nothing like being near the ice during hockey season. The speed, the hits, the atmosphere, it's unmatched. Watching at home is great, but being in the building is a completely different experience. The only thing that used to get in the way was actually getting tickets. Long queues, endless screens, and price changes at checkout. That's why the Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing NHL tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Guys, I used Game Time to get my tickets to the Sergei Fedorov retirement night. And the zone deal was so awesome. And it has been every time I've used it, whether it be for the Tigers, the Stadium Series, Lincoln Park at LCA. I picked a section that I wanted to sit in, and it showed me the best value tickets in that section. That was row 2, center ice, in the upper bowl, with the direction that Sergei Fedorov was facing us. So we had an incredible view of everything that was happening from the front, and the tickets were reasonably priced because the zone deals in Game Time. The no hidden fees that they have means that when you click on a ticket, you get the actual price before you get to checkout. None of the fees are hidden. They're upfront. So it's just a great thing that Game Time has going. I appreciate that, so I use them. And you get to take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. All right, Scotty. Erik Gustafsson was recalled on Thursday. And initially, when he was recalled, a lot of folk on social media were like, because we talked about trades yesterday, and everyone already was aware of the Rasmus Andersson, Dougie Hamilton, and heck, even Elias Pettersson rumors that had been circulating, not just about the Red Wings, but about trades in general across the NHL. And so, people saw the recall, and they're like, oh, we have 8 defensemen now. Is there a trade brewing? And the reality was much more normal. Less exciting, I think, than what people were hoping for. It's usually because of an injury, and that is sort of kind of what it was in this scenario. Ben Chiarot did not practice in this hockey game, and Todd McLellan, during post-game media availability, told the beat writers that a couple of D-men are dinged up You could see the same 6 that suited up the other day against Boston, regardless tomorrow. But Erik Gustafsson is brought up as insurance in case somebody can't go. So a little bit of a wet blanket on what a lot of Red Wings fans were hoping was a potential trade brewing, but an opportunity for Erik Gustafsson possibly to get in the lineup.
Yeah, and I think that this is maybe even more proof, maybe is too aggressive of a word, but like more evidence that they need to go get defensemen at the deadline. Like I'm down to shake it up with what we do have currently. That's fine because Lord knows we need it, but I'm not sure any of these are going to stick. And I'm not sure that there's any option internally that's going to solve the issue.
So, I mean, assuming everyone's good to go, that's the end of the conversation. But we don't know who is dinged up besides Ben Chiarot, who did not practice. They called it a maintenance day. But Erik Gustafsson has the capability of playing either left or right. So you could see him fill in on the right side on the second or third pair, depending on who is dinged up at this point in the season. And weirdly, I want to be careful with what I say. I kind of want to see him get into a game because the third pair and the second pair, even to an extent as well, we've talked a lot about Axel Sandin-Pellikka's sheltered situation, hasn't been able to hold their own at the level. And the reason I'm hesitant to say this is because we saw a lot of Gustafsson last year, and we saw how that played out. But we also saw Gustafsson start to finally produce more once Todd McLellan came in as head coach before he also had a season-ending injury. So I kind of want to see him get in the lineup for his second game of the season, be it third pair or second pair, just on one situation, because I feel like it's like the first line where I just need to see a change some degree. Even if it's like you're beating the same pairings that you were last year, right? The same dead horse. But just like to see maybe this time, because that's really, when it comes to defense, the only option the Red Wings have is to go back to the same old well and just hope it goes differently a different time. And so I kind of just want to see him get in the lineup, but also I know how bad that could go, but I also know how bad it has been going without him in the lineup. So it's stuck between a rock and a hard place, Scotty.
He said, I also know, but I also know.
You get what I'm saying, though? I know I'm like kind of fighting myself.
Kind of what I was like. Again, there's you're rearranging chairs on the Titanic. Like nothing is going to actually change the outcome of this. But
maybe this time,
right? Surely,
it's like that Arrested Development quote. Have you seen Arrested Development?
No.
No, I don't know the exact quote, but it's along the lines of like
all these people don't even know the exact quote.
All these people delude themselves into thinking that it'll work for them, but maybe this time it'll work for us, and that's where I'm at right now with the defense is just cycling through that same. Like you said, I think I liked the way you put it, cycling through chairs on the Titanic. That was fun. The NFL divisional round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets you like most. Open your Profit Boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. You make your picks, then apply your Profit Boosts to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your Profit Boost pack every NFL playoff game day. This episode is also brought to you by Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how impatient that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, just visit Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other sites. Indeed Sponsored Posts put your job at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. Instead of struggling to get your job post seen, Indeed Sponsored Jobs help your listing stand out and reach quality candidates faster. Sponsored Job Posts boost your posts to people who are the best match for your role, and that makes a real difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored job posts directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored posts. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results. Use Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support this show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Do it the right way with Indeed. Scotty, Red Wings play 2 games this weekend. First up is the San Jose Sharks, which 4th in the Pacific Division, although I believe they have they've won 6 of their last 8. So they're actually on the hot streak. I misremembered what I had written down on my notes earlier. I'm glad I double-checked. They've won 6 of their last 8, Scotty. So they're coming in a little hot right now. And they have one of the best players in the league right now in Macklin Celebrini, who has 70 points in 45 games. What should we be on the lookout for with the San Jose Sharks?
I mean, like, you know, they're not. This isn't a wagon, but like this is not your older siblings San Jose Sharks any longer. This is a team that is over 500, 23, 19, and 3 as they record this. I don't know if they play tonight, but or they do, right? Because back-to-back for them. Yeah, maybe. No, I made that up. Anyway.
It is the second half of back-to-back when they play Detroit. They play in Washington on Thursday.
Right, yeah. So we're recording before their game on Thursday. So, yeah, like really the calling card for this team is there's a handful of really good young offensive producers, and obviously Macklin is like at the top of that, and is not only one of the best players, well, the best player on the Sharks already, but he's quickly emerging as one of the like bright up and coming stars, as you know was expected of him in the NHL. And the flip side of that coin is they give up a ton of goals. They are 31st in the NHL in goals against allowed a game. So that, along with, it's not a terrible, well, that is terrible. They are not terrible. They are not terrible because they are pretty solid and above middle of the pack on the offensive side of the puck. So, yeah, I mean, this is a game where you look at the over and you're kind of going to kind of have to outscore the other team, but they can kind of go toe-to-toe with anybody in a shootout. So,
yeah, and I mean, a bulk majority of that is just Macklin Celebrini with his 16.2 shooting percentage and 24 goals. He's got 70 points, and it's a steep fall off from there. 32 points for Tyler Toffoli in 45 games. Same for Alexander Wenberg. You know, they do have a handful of guys. They do spread the wealth around with the secondary scoring. 6 players over 10 goals so far this season outside of Celebrini, so technically 7 because he's also over 10 at 24. So they have 7 players who have got over 10 goals, but no one's really been lethal for them outside of Macklin Celebrini. And like you said, would you say 31st in total goals against? They're 28th in goals against given up at 5-on-5, and their shot attempt share is worse than the league, and their expected goal share is, if not worse than the league, second to worst in the league as well. They're not a good 5-on-5 hockey team. They're very much 31st, very much carried by Macklin Celebrini right now and how phenomenal he is. I believe their special teams are middle of the pack at best. Did you comment on that? I was counting things at the moment when you would bring it up.
No, I only counted on their overall. Their power play is pretty solid. Top 13th. Half of the league. Their penalty kill is bottom half of the league. So I think that's pretty. Neither are too aggressively amazing or terrible. It's not as violent as their 5-on-5. I think they're 24th or 25th in their PK, and then about 13th in their power play. So I mean, pretty. Again, slightly above average and slightly below average on both sides of special teams.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you can manage to contain Macklin Celebrini, you'll have a really good opportunity to win this game. And I think that this is a game that the Red Wings should win. We're still at a point now where like no loss is going to sink your season, especially with the little slight bit of padding the Red Wings built up in the Atlantic Division, being a divisional seed right now. Of course, that can slip away very fast with how tight the conference is. So no loss is the end of the world. But I think I can confidently say this is a game that the Red Wings should and probably have to win. It won't ruin their season if they lose. But I mean,
you're going to be
San Jose Sharks.
You're at home too. You're going to be heavily favored. Like this is an East Coast road trip for them.
You're at home and they played the Capitals the night before, and then have to fly to Detroit.
It's the second half of a back-to-back. Like you're going to be, to be honest, like you're going to be heavily favored on FanDuel in this game. So,
and then also in the second half of a back-to-back is the Ottawa Senators on Sunday, who the Detroit Red Wings also play. A second meeting of the season for these two teams. Obviously, Detroit took the first one about a week and a half prior, and the Ottawa Senators have won their last 2 games, although they're only 2 in their last 6. So they've lost the 4 previous to their 2 most recent wins. One of those came against the Rangers, who are just down bad, and the other one came against the Vancouver Canucks. So they have 2 wins against 2 bad teams right now, 2 struggling teams right now. So they're gaining their confidence against the teams that they should beat. But they're playing Montreal on Saturday, and then have to come to Detroit. Montreal's a good hockey team, so I believe that this is another game that the Red Wings should win with a day off in between their 2 games, and both of which being home games. But as we know, Ottawa's a better team than San Jose is from, top to bottom filled out. It's going to be a battle.
Yeah, I mean, I said last time we played Ottawa too, like I don't even really... I do care about where both teams are at, but it's almost like the old rivalry adage of like you throw everything out the window a little bit. Now they were able to win last time, but that was not without its worries. Like that's the weird game where they got heavily outplayed for a lot of that hockey game and then came out with 2 points still. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but this is going to be very far from just like a gimme game because Ottawa is struggling. This is certainly going to be a game where they're going to have to show up. Now, thankfully, this is not another back-to-back for the Wings. They have a day off in there, so you'll get hopefully some fresh legs to go out there against Ottawa this time around. But I don't even really care where Ottawa's at in the season as long as like the main core is out there, which most of them are. I'm going to view it as A, must-watch TV, B, kind of a close back and forth kind of war of a hockey game, I'm sure.
Yeah, and again, this is a pretty stingy hockey team too when it comes to giving up opportunities. They have the fewest shots third fewest shots attempt against in the NHL. At 5-on-5, and their expected goals against is the fewest in the NHL. So they are stingy defensively. They're pretty good at holding the puck. They don't score very well. The problem is they have the league's worst goaltending, which is what we talked about last week and what we're talking about again. With this goaltending situation, you should just be able to beat this team, straight up. Like it just.
You'll probably be favored in this one too, and
losses happen. If they do lose, it's the NHL. These things happen. But you just don't want to give too many losses away on games that you should be able to look at the schedule and say this is a W.
I 100% agree.
Cool. Well, Scotty, why don't we wrap it up and talk to everyone on the other side of the weekend to recap these 2 games?
I agree. We've all. I hope we're talking on Monday about a 4-point weekend. That'd be pretty darn cool, but we'll see.
That'd be sick. All right. We'll talk to you guys then. Same time. We ball.
I already said it.
Oh, same time, same place. Your team every day.